Planet Vero Studios, brought to you by Evergreen Media, creating cohesive marketing campaigns. Evergreen Media in Vero Beach.
Honestly, without Treasure Coast Community Health, I think we'd be a much poorer community in terms of our health. We're always striving to fill the gap for everyone in the community, rich or poor. And welcome to Community Conversations. My name is Vicki Soule, and I'm the CEO of Treasure Coast Community Health. For those of you that have lived in town for a while, you've seen Treasure Coast Community Health grow as a primary care organization because we provide medical, dental, behavioral health, pharmaceuticals, sort of a one-stop shop in various neighborhoods throughout our county because we do want to provide accessible, affordable, and quality health care to all people, regardless of their economic circumstances. But it didn't take me too long to figure out as the CEO that we do a lot more. We're connectors. We are filling more than just the medical, behavioral health kinds of gaps. We're also collaborators with a lot of different organizations because, as they say about children, it takes a whole village. Well, a village is connected by a lot of the nonprofits and a lot of the great organizations, for-profit or not-for-profit, that inhabit our county. And so this radio program often will have folks where you may be scratching your head and saying, so why is a community health center that's very involved in physical and mental health involved with these other organizations? Well, because it benefits us all. And so today's guests are falling in that category, those that help benefit us all, either directly or indirectly. And so I'm very proud and happy that we have folks here from Safe Space of Indian River County, as well as, and I'll let you all explain it, and an old friend, well, I guess we're not that old, a friend that I've known for many years, Art Ciasca, the interim CEO of Safe Space, has brought along a future board member. And so, Art, welcome.
Thank you so much, Vicki. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. As Vicki mentioned, I am serving as the interim CEO at Safe Space, which is a 3-county organization, Martin, St. Lucie, and Indian River counties. And come July 1, I will be hopping onto the board of directors of Safe Space. I've come out of retirement, if you will. Yes. And I'm serving a couple of months as the interim CEO, but then going onto the board. And I'm very thrilled and excited to bring along onto our board of directors Mr. Joe Petito from the Gabby Petito Foundation.
Well, welcome, Joe. We appreciate you being here today.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate the time. Art, thank you very much. Appreciate that. July 1st, right? We're is when we start on the board. So that's the date he tells me, and that's what we're going with.
Well, tell us a little bit about your foundation, Joe.
So the Gabby Petito Foundation, helps with resources for the domestic violence situations and as well as missing persons. And we're trying to make a difference when it comes to domestic violence, help educate. That's one of our primary focuses is going to be help developing an education program. That's encompassing of all, very inclusive, because it has to be. Mm-hmm. Everybody, there's not a gender or race or orientation that doesn't get affected by it. So,
or age, for that matter.
Not even a little bit. It's all over the map.
Yeah, and we can never have enough education. They say the human brain only absorbs 10% at a time, so we have to hear it multiple times, and that takes multiple voices. So thank you for adding to that. Art, I want to ask you, refresh people who may have not known or heard about Safe Space. What does Safe Space do?
Safe Space, has been around since 1979, actually, and it was born here in Vero Beach. And we currently are in the 3 counties. We have a shelter in Stewart, and that's actually a 60-bed shelter for victims of domestic violence and their children. And we also have a shelter here in Vero Beach, which is a 19-bed shelter at the moment. We have a 24/7 hotline. Anybody can call our hotline if they're in a bad situation of a domestic violence nature. They can call, and we will assess their immediate need for safety. Are they in danger right now? We'll assess their immediate need for medical attention. We'll assess, do we need to get law enforcement involved for this person, like right now? So anybody can call 24/7 and speak to a certified advocate or one of our advocates. Safe Space is one of 41 certified domestic violence organizations in the state of Florida. Again, we've been around 44 years. So when somebody calls our hotline, and if they meet the criteria, we may bring them into one of our 2 shelters for safety, support, education, while we're empowering them to take back their life. If somebody doesn't want to come into the shelter, is not ready for it, we provide what we call outreach services, where we will meet with them on an outreach basis in a safe place in the community. We'll never send one of our advocates, into somebody's home where bad things are happening. And that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So we'll meet them at a police station, the library, wherever. We can help them develop escape plans if they need, safety planning. Many of the people who come to us and get into our shelters come with us just with the clothes on their back. So we're going to have at the shelter, we're going to have clothing available for them. We're going to have food. A lot of them maybe haven't eaten in a while. Again, if they have children, we have playrooms there, and we have staff that are designed to work with the children as well. So, and then we also have 3 attorneys and a paralegal who work for Safe Space, and they can help an individual with filing injunctions. And, all of these services.
New. In the last couple of years. Yeah,
that is new, and it's great. I mean, I've met these attorneys in my short stint here as the interim, and they're high energy, knowledgeable, incredible people who are really determined to help these people for a safe life, which they need.
Yeah, because the fear factor is huge. And so I guess I'm still struggling in my mind. If I were in that situation, when would I decide to call the police as opposed to calling Safe Space? Or turn it around? Why Safe Space instead of calling the police?
Some individuals, for a myriad of reasons, really do not want law enforcement involved. And that is certainly their choice. And again, they can't.
The retribution being higher.
Could be
from the abuser.
Even if somebody's an undocumented individual, they have that fear of law enforcement. So we do see folks like that. But it's really up to them. I mean, my feeling is if somebody's in a really horrific situation where there's physical abuse and their life is in danger, I would want them to call law enforcement right away, who can maybe intervene and prevent something horrible from occurring. We know that every day in the United States of America, 4 women are murdered by their intimate partner. 4 women every day in our country. And it was only about 2 or 3 weeks ago down in Port St. Lucie that a young lady who was a middle school teacher in Stewart was stabbed to death by her attacker, her boyfriend. And there was a 10-month-old baby who was there at the time of all of this. And that person who did this then chose to end his life. So these are horrific crimes. There's so many forms of abuse, from physical, mental, psychological, financial, sexual. And if somebody's experienced any of these things, we would encourage them to call Safe Spaces hotline, talk to somebody like, this is what's happening to me, so that they can hear, from our advocates, here's some thoughts about safety, developing an escape plan. Here's some thoughts about if you want to come into shelter or you just want to meet with us on that outreach basis. But get help. We want people to get help.
So give us the number.
Sure.
Please.
And I read it just so I don't forget it, actually. But the actual hotline number is 772-288-7023. 288-7023. And then again, it is staffed 24/7 by a live human being. Go figure these days, which is a wonderful thing. So
that is a wonderful thing. And so we really appreciate the work that you're doing there. And your support, of course, with the education component. What do you guys see as the biggest need at this point in time?
You want to field that one?
Yeah, when it comes to education, listen, we would love to get everyone, the proper education, of course, but it's really got to start with the younger generation today to help the ones of tomorrow, right? That's the way the education, but it's not just relationship building. You know what I mean? It's between partners. It's just friendships, even what a proper friendship could look like. You know what I mean? Certain things that people, see at their own home. might not be the right thing to have happen, and to them it's the norm, and it's not okay. So getting that education to the youth moving forward, and fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth grade moving up, then you can start getting into relationships and whatnot, because that is happening, like you said.
Right.
But there's a right and a wrong way to do it, and I guess this is a life skill. This is, I hear it a lot. That the life skills should be pushed in the education system, and figuring out ways to stay alive, to find yourself to figure out if you're in a bad situation or not. That's
and
what this can teach.
And what to do if you are.
That's right.
Exactly.
Where to go, who to call. These are situations that occur all the time, and there are signs that are happening that people can say that, well, listen, this is not okay. I need to speak to someone.
Yeah, the times have certainly changed since I was a teen and a young adult. At that time, my mother was very clear. Look at your boyfriend's family. Don't look at how much he cares for you. Look at their family, because that will be you in 20 or 30 years, the way his parents relate to each other. And I thought at the time, yeah, right. But moms sometimes are smart, smarter than us.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, years ago when I was with Safe Space, I was there from 2008 to 2013, we brought in as a keynote speaker Denise Brown, the oldest sister of Nicole Brown Simpson. And Denise always used the phrase when talking about domestic violence, it's the dirty little secret. It's something that people don't talk about. And sometimes, and we know that the victims are more often than not female, but a lot of times even the women wouldn't share with their sisters or their good friends that this is what's happening to me inside my home behind closed doors. And, and we can credit somebody like Tina Turner, actually, for sharing her story and starting that education that Joe is talking about, getting people to actually think this is happening. This is happening all around us. It's not just the other side of the tracks. It's not just those people over there. It's happening in upper class, middle class, lower class families, every race, creed, and culture, in churches. It is happening. So we need to have that discussion. We need to get people thinking about this and knowing it's all about power and control. Somebody exerting power and control over their partner. That's the cause. And what to do should that occur to your, to your friend, to your sister, whoever.
Exactly. So we're going to take a short break for a word from our sponsors. But when we come back, we're going to explore that subject just a little bit more. There's a lot to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Treasure Coast Community Health in-house pharmacies have the lowest prices in Indian River County, even lower than big box pharmacies. Taking your medication as prescribed leads to better health. Affordable medicine makes it easier. Treasure Coast Community Health patients can pick up medicine as they leave the office or use free delivery and mail order services. Pharmacists are always available to answer questions. Switch to TCCH pharmacies. Save money, stay healthy. 772-257-8224 and ask about our price match.
Waves Auto Spa, known as Vero's fastest and finest. A car wash known for their quality equipment and attention to detail by a friendly and courteous staff. Waves offers soft cloth technology, and a top-notch detail center will help preserve the value of your car. Waves now offers windshield chip repair, and in most cases, it doesn't cost you a dime. Spend less time and get a better quality experience for you and your car at Waves Auto Spa, US 1 Vero Beach, across from Kmart Plaza. Open 7 days a week.
Revive Vero Beach, located next to Anytime Fitness on Oslo Road and 27th Avenue, has everything you need to look and feel your best, including hormone replacement therapy, stem cell therapy, sexual wellness, weight loss, laser aesthetics, hair, tattoo, and skin spot removal, Botox and fillers, cryotherapy, comprehensive blood work, and everybody's favorite ozone and IV therapy. Refresh, renew, and revitalize yourself at Revive today. Call 772-492-6607. A member of the iTex trading community. Your iTex dollars are welcome. welcome.
Is owning a home your goal? With the rising cost of rent, you could be saving a lot of money by owning your own home. At Caliber Home Loans, we can help make home ownership a reality. Meet with us for a free consultation and get on the right path to buy the home of your dreams. For Caliber, home loans is all we do. We use local appraisers and offer a variety of loan options to fit your lifestyle and budget. Call us today, 844-GO-CALIBER, license number CHL15622, Caliber Home Loans, TreasureCoast.com.
And welcome back to Community Conversations. If you're just joining us, my name is Vicki Soule, and Community Conversations is exactly that. It's talking to various people around our community about the things they see, they do, they'd like us to know. Sometimes it's fundraising, sometimes it's fundraising. But in all events, we hope that this is beneficial to you and you listen in every Saturday afternoon. Today, I've got with me two gentlemen that are representing Safe Space, which Art tells me has been in existence for 44 years, which is outstanding.
It is.
Unfortunately, the problem is just as big as ever, but we continue to try to combat it through education. And so that's the purpose of today's meeting, is talking about the fact that we still have 1 in 4 women who die at the hands of their abusers every day. And during the break, we were talking about the fact, Joe said, it doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are. You know, it seems to be a perpetuating cycle in some families because nobody's breaking the cycle. And Art, you had mentioned earlier that it's that family's shameful secret in many cases.
Yeah, we did have Denise Brown, the sister of Nicole Brown Simpson, down in our area when I was with Safe Space years ago, and she called it the dirty little secret because people didn't talk. And again, you remember Nicole Brown Simpson was murdered in 1994, and you know back then. And even now, but people didn't talk about domestic violence, and it was people like Tina Turner who came out and others, of course, who started the conversation going and started creating that awareness and educating people that this is about power and control. My partner is exerting power and control over me, either physically, financially, emotionally, mentally, sexually, in whatever fashion. And there were red flags that we can teach people to look for. You know, and my hope would be that, you know, and I'm an educator at heart. I taught and coached, and I still teach at the college, actually. But I would want people to know that there are those red flags. And I've been in places where a young lady is getting texts and her boyfriend's getting mad because she's not responding to those texts right away, and he's threatening her. That's a red flag. That's a red flag of somebody who's exerting power and control over you. I'm the boss. You'll do what I say. You know, or they'll isolate their victims. They will isolate them from family and friends.
What do you mean you're going out with your girlfriends again?
Exactly.
Right?
You know, so there's a lot of isolation going on and preventing people from doing things, from going out with their friends or their family or whatever. So there are so many red flags, and we want people to know what some of the red flags are. The other piece is, and Joe talked about it on the break too, that it's intergenerational. Those little boys and little girls sometimes who are witnessing domestic violence in the homes,
They think that's normal.
They think it's normal. This is what it's like to be daddy. You get angry and mommy is bad, and so mommy pays some kind of a penalty. Or if you're the little girl witnessing that, that's part of being mommy. Hey, I guess I was bad. I didn't do what daddy said to do, so I'm going to suffer some consequences now.
And that's just a part of life. And
Exactly.
It shouldn't be.
Exactly.
I had a family member, a gal in our family, who was seriously abused. She was a little bit older than I. And she, again, dirty little secret, you know, how'd you get those bruises? And she'd say, oh, I fell, you know. Well, over a period of years, even I, as a child, started to pick up that, boy, she must be the clumsiest person I've ever seen, because she was constantly bruised. And when I got older and the dirty little secret came out, I asked her, why didn't you leave? I had 6 kids. Where was I going to go? So financial control, whatever you want to call it. But we're past the days of grin and bear it, aren't we?
Well, now we know a lot more, and it's no longer a secret. So what do we do now? We get systems in place to help, such as Safe Space. phone numbers to call to figure out a safe way to exit that situation. And these are the things that are important. Like Art said, there's 41 certified domestic violence shelters in the state of Florida. The amount of shelters in the United States it's a 2-to-1 ratio from domestic violence shelters to animal shelters.
Is that right?
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah, mind blowing, right?
That's good news, I guess.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's 2-to-1 the other way.
The other way.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, it's horrible.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Florida's got what? They're going to estimate 22 million people, 41 certified shelters. I know there's others, but in terms of the certified, it's the way you want to use it.
So again, going back to it takes a village to raise a child. What can people that suspect their friends or relatives are being abused? They don't want to talk about it. So what do we do to help?
I think trying to have that conversation with somebody, if you suspect that, is there something going on in your life? Are you okay? And hopefully people can open up to a trusted friend. We have to keep in mind that, but there's also dangers involved with this. A lot of these batterers, they're threatening sometimes. If you tell anybody, I'm going to hurt you, or I'm going to hurt your kid, or your parents, or our pet. There's a lot of threats going on. So there is danger. There's lethality assessments that we can do if somebody does call and just say, how much at risk is this person? Do we need to help them get out of there immediately?
Okay, so that's a resource for people who aren't really sure what next steps to take, but suspect that things are going on. They can call Safe Space?
Yes, and even our website, which is safespacefl.org, there's an exit button, because sometimes batterers, they're pretty crafty. They can go on and check the history on your computer to see what have you been researching. Right. So when they leave our website, they can hit the safely exit button so the history is not tracked, because batterers can be dangerous. Again, we know 4 women a day are murdered, in our country. So.
Well, and I have to say, it was probably during the time just before you became the CEO over there. I went to see the Safe Space. I was new to town, and there was a fella there, and I said, what's going on? And so they educated me that while the majority of the batterers are men, it's not an exclusive club, that there are some women who have grown up in those circumstances and have become batterers themselves.
Exactly. And
I was flabbergasted.
Yeah, and
broke the stereotype.
We do have male participants, is the term we use, and we do not take them into shelter, but we can find them a safe place, a motel or whatever. But we will work with them on an outreach basis while helping them find a safe place, because males are victims too.
Yeah, and their children were victims in this case.
Yeah.
Well, it's starting to come out more. I think it's more socially acceptable to come out and say, listen, this is what's happening to me. Yeah.
Well, we have more females in dominant positions like law enforcement, than we did 30 years ago. So you're right. It's something that we can and should talk about.
Yeah, it is. It doesn't matter who you are or what you look like. It can happen, and there's a right and a wrong way to figure out how to get out. There's a safe way and an unsafe way, and Safe Space will help do just that.
Well, I really appreciate you guys coming here and talking about this.
Can Art just give that number one more time?
Yes,
yeah,
good
the hotline
idea.
number is, for anybody who's experienced the things, 288-7023. And then if somebody wanted to help Safe Space with donations of clothing, food, money, we're at 223-2399 is our administrative office.
Okay. And again, they would not be bringing things to the safe house.
Correct.
But you would meet them for those things that they wanted to donate or ways that they could help.
Exactly.
So for that reason, I suspect you don't encourage a lot of volunteer work at Safe Space?
We do have volunteers, and anybody who works at Safe Space or volunteers, they go through what they call the core training, and it's a 24-hour training, and they become certified by the state of Florida to work with domestic violence victims if they work in the shelter. We take volunteers for our events and administrative office too.
Okay, very good. And you're still working very closely, obviously, with the law enforcement folks that are called instead of Safe Space in terms of providing immediate housing should that need be there.
Exactly. I'm pleased to say the law enforcement in the 3 counties each have somebody from their command positions on our board of directors as well. So
Wonderful.
yes.
Thank you, guys. We've run out of time, as I suspected we would. It's a tough thing to talk about, but once we get started, it just seems to roll. So again, best wishes and thanks for being here.
Thank you,
thank
Vicki.
you for
Thank you,
staying
Vicki.
tuned to us. See you next week.